Hello, listeners, and welcome to Silicon Valley Impact on TALRadio. I'm your host, Roger Royse, and each week I'm here to speak with people who have a major impact in Silicon Valley and the local community in philanthropy and business and charitable activities and social causes. And today we have with us Kostov Chaudhary, founder, KC we call him, founder and entrepreneur in residence at Pitch Globally, Inc., which does investor events and entrepreneurial education funded by the U.S. government. It brings aid and mentoring to the Northern California startup ecosystem. So Casey, thanks for being here. And why don't you tell us a little bit about Pitch Globally?
Great. Roger, thanks for having me here. Well, our company is called Pitch Globally and our brand is called Pitch Global. So pitchglobal.com is our website. And when we started, we have been running entrepreneurial and investor events for almost a decade with Pitch Global and its predecessor companies. And over the last few years, we have really segued into providing the best entrepreneurial and innovation education possible. So we have really been recognized by US government agency, and we became a satellite of theirs in the last 2 years. So that means we can pick any companies we feel can meet the economic indicator indexes of US government and mentor them and give them access to grants, give them access to the best of the best help companies which can create potential jobs. And in the last 1 year during the pandemic, we have really pivoted to working with corporate venture capital arms of large companies, because that's where Silicon Valley is moving towards. For instance, in a recent event, we had one of the leading investors from Korea's SK Group, which has written several billion-dollar plus checks. He'll be back in our event again. And in our board meeting on 28th of later this month, we are going to have CVC head of Sevastol, which is owned by the richest Russian family. They own half of iron and steel and a chunk of oil and gas. So that's where we are. We are a company which brings together CVCs and other investors with each other and startups.
Casey, are you back live again, or are you still doing your events virtually?
Till now, it's virtually. We wanted to be live. We had an event in LA on 2nd September, which was co-hosted by LA's most dynamic investor, Expert Dojo. But unfortunately, the new COVID mandates there are more stringent than up here, so we had to cancel it.
Oh, I see. So how's that been working out for you? Are companies still getting funded through your events? Are they meeting investors? Are they raising money?
So for us, it's working out better because our events are very curated. In the past, in a live event, we don't know who's there, who's not. But in an online event, we only allow investors who we have vetted. We have two types of investors. We have about 10 who are vetted and another 20 to 30 sign up through our extended network. And we have entrepreneurs and sponsors who are presenting. We do not allow audience in our event. We don't want people to just take the attention away from the entrepreneurs who are presenting. By doing this, by making our events more exclusive, our success rate has gone up. It's not easy to count the economic impact of funding, but under the US government program, we have given them almost $40 million of economic indicator in this calendar year.
Wow, that's impressive. Yeah, I'd have to say you were one of the more successful investor, entrepreneur, startup events in the Valley that I've ever seen. So congratulations on that. Just a few more words about Pitch Globally before we get into some of your philanthropic activities. What's the future look like for you? What does the market look like? Is this a good time for companies to be out there in the Valley raising money?
Roger, firstly, thank you. And the future, for companies who are willing to take, who are open to take feedback, future is bright. If they look at underlying trends, the future is bright for them. Because now what's happening, some early stage investors are holding off investing because the valuations are too high. However, corporate venture capital arms of large companies are investing a lot, and not just later stage. So entrepreneurs need to get out of the mindset that CVCs are for later stage. So what we have done is we have tied up with TDK Ventures and started doing thought leadership events around the theme how entrepreneurs at all levels can attract early stage investors. Because TDK is a good example, they invest in all stages. So it's a very optimistic for entrepreneurs with a caveat. If they are open-minded, if they know how to look at the change which is happening from the periphery as well, instead of trying too hard, trying to butt their heads against the wall in front, because what they see can be shrinking, whereas a lot is coming from the sidelines. And if they're open-minded, they will be very successful.
Okay, great. Well, let's shift gears here a little bit. This is Silicon Valley Impact, and we want to talk not only about the impact you're having on the startup community in this valley, but also some of your philanthropic activities, because I know you've been very active. So maybe you can tell us a little bit, how did you get into some of the charitable and social activities that you're doing right now?
Roger, thank you. That's a great question. Well, I started off, the roots are when I was roped in as an expert to write Ty's book, The First Mile. And while after I was a co-contributor of this book by the largest network of entrepreneurs in the world, it inspired me to write my own book. It was more on leadership and motivation. And while writing it, I also became a writer for Yelp, because that's the time Yelp was getting going in San Francisco. And I thought that'll help me get good feedback on my writing style. And Yelp was it was a pioneer in social networking in San Francisco. And after seeing Yelp, I started meetups where I wanted to connect audience to people who has philanthropy like yours. Like I met you because I was a big supporter of Art Rocks project, and their founder went to NYU with you, and that's how you and I connected. And then I got on your board when you were standing for Man of the Year for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, top 30 philanthropy in US. And after you won, Leukemia Society asked me to be on their board, and that was very high level philanthropy, and I learned a lot because I put in a lot of effort, because I really wanted to make a difference. And the last time I did mentoring, I really feel very proud of the difference I made.
Great. Well, we're going to talk more about LLS after we take a quick break. So let's take a break now, and we'll be back with Silicon Valley Impact on TALRadio with KC.
Thank you, Roger.
Okay. All right. We're back with KC from Pitch Global. This is Roger Royse with Silicon Valley Impact on TALRadio. We're talking to KC from Pitch Global about some of the activities he's done here in Silicon Valley. We were just getting into, before the break, some of the stuff you've done with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. So tell me about that, KC. Who I know you worked on the Man and Woman of the Year campaign for many years in a row. Who are some of the people that you helped in that campaign?
Well, I was mentor of a lot of people, say up to 10, and some of them were tech entrepreneurs, some were socialites, people from very different background, from fashion industry, from PR industry. But I think if I tell you about the last time I was a mentor, that could give people a very good idea about how philanthropy can create a larger than life impact, and we want all listeners of TALRadio to feel that even if they feel what they are doing will make very marginal impact. That's not correct. If you are in the right circumstances, you could create the butterfly effect where a small change can create a huge impact. So last time I was a mentor, I was mentoring Emmy Award winner, Latino media icon, Victoria Sanchez de Alba, her campaign. And because she was from, media background, I forced her to write some articles, and one of them got picked up by the SF Chronicle and became a quote, based on which anonymous donor endowed a position for blood cancer research for Latino community, and endowing a research position in San Francisco means it has to be at least $1 million donation. So I was really proud of that. And story does not end there. I developed such a good relationship with people I mentored because this meant a lot to them. For instance, Victoria's father was a farm worker who died of pesticide cancer. That's why she was standing. But from being a farm worker's daughter, she became an Emmy Award winner journalist, married a lawyer, and her brother-in-law is a judge whose former business partner was the state attorney general, Xavier Becerra, and Victoria threw a great fundraiser in Hillsborough when Xavier was standing for re-election. And now he's Health and Human Secretary for US government.
Wow,
So
how
I'm
about
just
that?
saying this to say how the dots connect.
Yeah,
Most of the time, people have a limited perception of reality, and we want to open their eyes up and inspire them. And that's why we are here for Silicon Valley Impact as well.
yeah. I remember KC when you helped with my campaign. Remember we met Sean Parker. We went and watched some show, some boat show. USO.
That's right.
What did we watch? I don't remember now.
That was America's Cup.
Oh yeah,
We were in the VIP, and it was America and New Zealand. It is sponsored by Oracle. We were in the Oracle VVIP lounge, and that was it was a learning experience. And I have a funny story, but it's actually a good learning as well. And that's what audience here wants to listen. I mean, we were pitching Sean Parker, cancer charity funding for tens of thousands because you wanted to raise 125K. However, Sean Parker, even though he was very friendly, we hung out with his sailing buddies, gave us the best Caribbean rum ever. He seemed a little kind of out of it. And later I saw
I'm
that
impressed.
he was looking for a large sum to invest, and he finally invested $600 million to create Cancer Charity Foundation. So here we were getting a unique opportunity to pitch someone who is looking to invest 600 million, and we are pitching them 20,000, 30,000. So that's funny, because we did not think big enough,
Yeah,
but 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 on the positive note, you did become a man of the year, and you create a lot of impact with the Royce Foundation. I always see, like even recently, you endowed position for minority students at where you come from in Southern Dakota. Why don't you
North
briefly tell us how that
North
worked
Dakota
out?
actually. Yeah,
Right.
I remember that. That's the thing about Silicon Valley. You just never know who you're going to run into, and there's no limit. The sky is the limit to what people can do here and how big things can be. And it's really easy, not to make that mistake and not thinking big enough. Just go big or go home is what we hear around here a lot, and that's true even in the philanthropic stuff. So after LLS, what else have you done? I know you've continued your activities.
Yes. For a while, I was on the board of Tech in the Tenderloin, and I love what they do, but I just wanted to, not commingle tech with, for philanthropic work because I want to break from tech, and so I got involved in supporting, art and culture in San Francisco in a bigger way, especially in North Beach Historical District, because that was, where the beat movement, everything started. And I have been a backer of one gallery, Foreign Lens, and I've also got another gallery, Local Maker Mart, into US government funded program. And so between these two galleries and others, they are there is impact, and people are recognizing that in order to create innovation, they need to, really, you know, uh, understand art. They have to understand uh, domains which may not be relevant right away, but where it could give them breakthrough thinking.
Right. Well, we're going to talk more about that after the break, but let's take a little break now. This is Roger Royce with Silicon Valley Impact, and we're talking to Casey Kostov Chowdhury, founder and entrepreneur in residence of Pitch Global, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back with Silicon Valley Impact on TALRadio. This is Roger Royce. I'm talking to Casey Kostov Chowdhury, founder and entrepreneur in residence at Pitch Global. And before the break, we were just talking about some of his more recent activities in art. It's really interesting, Casey. I met you, like you say, through an art project. Art Rocks up in San Francisco was a great idea, a great concept. And I see that you've sort of come back full circle to your roots because you're doing a lot with the art community in San Francisco. Tell us a little about that.
That's great, Roger. You just hit the point. You know, we believe that in order to really create innovation, people cannot do more of the same. That's just increment. And where have you ever asked the question, where does innovation come from? So innovation could come from embracing domains outside people's, comfort zone, or Gutenberg, who invented the printing press. He went wine tasting and looked at wine presses and got the idea to create the printing press. So if Gutenberg was just working harder and did not go out wine tasting, he wouldn't have created this innovation. And Silicon Valley is unique because of our innovation. This is what creates, Facebook's, creates Apple's, creates all these big companies. And in order to true innovation to happen, people need to get exposed to art, to music, to culture, to literature. And the place where the root of innovation in this country and the world is from San Francisco and North Beach, because in the 50s, after Second World War, US culture became very structured. And in the late 50s, the beat movement started when people, poets, they protested and they wanted to break away. And they came to San Francisco and created this amazing urban village called North Beach. And now over the decades, North Beach is under siege, because of gentrification, because of too much tech. However, in the last 2 years, especially during pandemic, I've got very connected. I've become a backer of Foreign Lens Gallery, which is one of the places really preserving the Bohemian culture, Parisian culture of San Francisco. And I'm backing a couple other galleries too. And I personally feel people are coming for innovation. For innovation, they need inspiration. They need to get exposed to domains outside their comfort zone. And art and culture can give them the breakthrough to get to their next level of excellence. That's why I'm supporting, not in such a formal way, but whatever comes along. In the past, when we met, I was really trying to get into brand name philanthropy. And by being on the board of Leukemia Lymphoma Society, I got a very good sense of what high level philanthropy does. But at this point, it's about whatever is coming. I want to embrace the change and ride on it without too much structure, unless you start, a North Beach Foundation or some a new philanthropy to preserve, innovation and culture. Hey, it'll be again good times.
Well, you're onto something there. I think there really is a connection between tech and art.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's all about creativity, right? And the really big ideas and the really big advancements come from creative minds. And that is not only just engineering and bits and bytes and nuts and bolts, it's also having vision and being able to experience and create designs. So there might be a real connection there. It's not that surprising that someone like yourself, who's been very active in tech, would also have a big interest in art and the culture that goes around art, especially since you're so close to San Francisco.
Yeah, definitely. For instance, before COVID, these Russian investors had taken over this amazing church on the top of Broadway. However, unfortunately, event business really got affected, and now they had to give it up, and their bank owns this phenomenal space on top of Broadway, where, you know, and San Francisco City and CA government are interested in funding, these kind of creative spaces. But someone has to connect the dots. Because I'm exposed to government funding, I'm on calls with them. I know there's a lot of money out there, but we don't know where to begin, where to end on a larger scale. On a smaller scale, we are making our impact. So if someone puts their head together and creates a foundation, people will just gravitate towards it. And big corporations also are going to, finance if they see the link between supporting art and culture in San Francisco historically to how, innovation and creativity has happened.
Okay, well, KC, so if somebody wants to get involved with any of your many programs, how do they get a hold of you?
They can, best is to email startups@pitchglobal.com, startups at the rate of PITCH global, like pitching to investors globally. Because this email, either I check or my assistant checks, so it won't fall through the crack. We will respond. So that's the best thing, to email startups@pitchglobal.com.
Okay, well, thank you very much, KC. Thanks for being with us here today on TALRadio, Silicon Valley Impact. This is Roger Royse, and we will see you next time.